Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Mukham Karoti Vacharam Pangum Langate Girim Yatrupatam Ham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarine. So today we'll see verse number 33 of chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. So let us chant the shloka. Shreyan Dravyamayadhyajnad
Shreyan Dravyamayadyajnat
Jnana Yagya Parantapa
Jnanayagya Parantapa
Sarva Karma Khilam Partha
Sarvam Karma Kilam Partha
Jnane Parisamapyate.
Jnane Parisamapyate.
Shreyan Dravyamayadhyajnad
Shreyan Dravyamayadyajna
Jnana Yagya Parantapa
Jnana Yagya Parantapa
Karma Sarva Khilam Partha
Sarvam Karma Khilam Partha
Sarva Karma Khilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyate.
Jnani Parisamapyate.
Please chant.
Shreyan Dravyamayadyajnat Jnanayagya Parantapa Sarvam Karma Kilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyate.
Anyone else want to chant? Okay. So, translation and purport. O chastiser of enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Prutha, all sacrifices of work culminate in the transcendental knowledge. Purport. The purpose of all sacrifice is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge, then to gain release from material miseries, and ultimately to engage in the loving transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, Krishna consciousness. Nonetheless, there is a mystery about all these activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Sacrifices sometimes take different forms according to the particular faith of the performer. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifice should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifice remain on the material platform and based on no spiritual benefit. Real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness, the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. Without the elevation of knowledge, sacrifice are simply material activities. When, however, they are elevated to the level of transcendental knowledge, all such activities enter into spiritual platform. Depending on difference in consciousness, sacrificial activities are sometimes called karma kanda, fruitive activities, sometimes jnana kanda, knowledge in the pursuit of truth. It is better when the end is knowledge. So, Krishna explaining about the transcendental knowledge, right? So, before explaining directly about the transcendental knowledge, he's explaining that the purpose of sacrifice, because he has explained that sacrifice, the cycle of sacrifice is established by him to purify the living entities. So now he also Krishna already explained different types of sacrifices. Many sacrifices he explained, like simple material possessions, charity, then gyan, then sacrifice of hearing process, sacrifice of senses. But all the sacrifices ultimately are meant to raise our consciousness. So, for example, even if we take simple charity, say giving donation. So, when you go to temple, we have some scars, or we have understanding that we have to donate. When you go to temple, donate for the God, right? So even if you go without any knowledge, you just put some money there. Why you put the money? Because we have some faith in the God, that if I give him something, it is good. So even if we expect something back from God, or without any information, but there is some faith. So this connection that we donate, charity also, is much better than not doing any sacrifices or charity, because it's at higher consciousness. But ultimately, what is the result of that sacrifice of that money given? That we establish a connection, that something superior to us is there, something superior who can help me, or who is more important, or who is more knowledgeable, who is more powerful than me. That type of consciousness is there. That's why anybody who go to temple or any other place where charity can be given, people put money. So that is one type of surrender, and surrender to what? To the higher knowledge, or higher being who is superior. So that is the purpose of sacrifice, that we connect with something superior. So this is one way to understand. Yeah, okay. So ultimately, even simple charity also is meant for developing our connection. So how the connection develops? By knowledge. The more we know anything about, uh, the more we know details about anything, the more we can connect with it, right? So here Krishna explaining jnana yagya parantapa. Jnana yagya means sacrifice done with knowledge, right? So for example, a simple example, current example, if we take of this pandemic, right? last year last year's lockdown in all the countries were different, because we didn't had any knowledge how to react to this sacrifice, how to, no, not sacrifice, how to react to this virus, how to control it. No knowledge was there, so it was just fearful situation, and everything switched off. But the more everybody studied, analyzed the virus, then got the knowledge, then the response given by everyone is different now. So now the lockdowns are different. The situation from last year is very different. So this is very simple example, that knowledge is required, then you can react, or you can relate more deeply, or more with precaution, or more with heart. Mm. So similarly, all these sacrifices that we do is meant to get the knowledge about the God. And if if the sacrifice that we are giving or doing is not connecting to the higher knowledge, then that sacrifice remains at a certain level where there is give and take relationship. But when the sacrifice is done without any personal motive, just for establishing the knowledge about the superior person, then it becomes at a different level. It's not from at material level, it's at a spiritual level. And once you do the sacrifices at the spiritual level, our consciousness increases, our connection with the Supreme Lord increases. That is the purpose this system of sacrifice is established. So we saw in the last few slokas that anything done with gyan or knowledge is much superior. So when we do any seva or any sacrifice or anything in temple or any other places, then we should know the purpose behind it, why we are doing it. So rather than executing the activity itself is important, but we should know the intention or the purpose of that. And then the activity, the same activity can be done by higher consciousness, and that higher consciousness gives spiritual benefit to us. Mm. So simple cleaning the road by broom, Hmm. Or same activity done in the temple or any place where God is there, it's a different consciousness, and that elevates you to a spiritual benefit. Does not mean that cleaning the road is bad thing, no. But if you have the proper consciousness of reading the cleaning the road also for what we are doing, then it will gives higher benefit. And the system of sacrifice is to get the spiritual benefits. So we have to check our intentions. And then based on our intentions and our internal consciousness, we can cultivate knowledge. And once we cultivate the knowledge about the supreme, then we can cultivate the devotion. What is devotion? Devotion means love for the God. So for cultivating the devotion, we need the knowledge, and for knowledge, we need to do the sacrifices. Hmm. So of course, with the sacrifice, Krishna told that the fruits will come. The person will enjoy the fruits. What is the fruits? The economic development and happiness. Those will be always there. But the main purpose is spiritual happiness or spiritual benefits. So Krishna is telling sacrifice performed in knowledge is much better, because the purpose of sacrifice is transcendental knowledge. So now, Krishna, now the immediate question will come: okay, where should I get this knowledge from? What is the benefit of this transcendental knowledge? How it helps me in my spiritual practice? From where I should get it? So Arjuna's example: Arjuna already surrendered to Krishna, and Arjuna accepted Krishna as his spiritual master to show him the path, correct path, and give the knowledge. So Arjuna has already done that action. But now Krishna will tell for everyone that how we can get this spirit transcendental knowledge, and what is the glory of this transcendental knowledge, how it helps us in our raising our consciousness. Mm. So that's why this chapter is transcendental knowledge, very important link between the karma kanda and the nishkam karma yoga, that's in the chapter 5, and the dhyan yoga. Because after doing the karma kanda or the karma yoga, to sacrifice the results of your fruits, then the next step is to connect the result of those fruits to the supreme being, and for that we need knowledge, and that knowledge Krishna is giving in this chapter. So we can understand how Krishna is slowly trying to increase the consciousness from a simple karma kanda to karma yoga, then nishkam karma yoga, then dhyan yoga, then bhakti yoga. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is a complete book which takes you naturally through the different levels of consciousness, and tries to elevate you to the highest consciousness. So, how to get this transcendental knowledge? From where to get this transcendental knowledge? That Krishna will explain in the next few shlokas. So, that we'll see from tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta ki jai. So, any other comments or points anyone will like to add? Okay, Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta ki jai. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.